Back tonight here on In Focus on Newzroom Afrika, Channel 405. According to the Financial Sector Outlook Study, banking in the country is transforming with more and more people transacting online and on banking apps. The COVID-19 pandemic also accelerated the rate at which businesses and consumers adopt technology for transactions, particularly in the payment space, where many customers prefer to transact with card over cash. However, the report also cited an increase in the risk of cybercrime to both consumers and banks. Financial Sector Conduct Authority Deputy Commissioner Catherine Gibson joins me now to talk more on this. Catherine, good evening, and thank you very much for your time and joining us tonight here on In Focus. So according to the sector, what are the changes or the transformation, shall I say, that you are seeing as far as transactions being performed on digital channels?
So this is a trend, firstly I should be saying good evening to your listeners and thank you for inviting us onto your show. This definitely is not a new trend. It is something that we have been seeing over the past decade at least, with banks looking to improve efficiencies and improve service delivery to their customers by improving the digital delivery channels. So we will have seen, for example, more apps, improved functionality on the online banking channels. But this has been, up until now, largely geared or focused towards the upper end and more sophisticated clients. And what we have seen with COVID, so really since 2019, has been a radical shift in customer behavior, increasingly onto these online channels, and particularly away from bank branches. But that, as you said, is coming with associated risks, and we have seen a radical spike in various scams and frauds across the sector, and including in the banking sector. And probably one of the citable observations has been to see a 330% plus increase in the incidence of impersonation fraud, for example.
How much of that 330% plus increase can be attributed, for example, to the fact that we are having more players within the banking space, particularly banking the unbanked? We're also having banks now that are operating on cloud, not having actual banking bricks and mortar infrastructure type of a situation. And consumer goods are now not just, previously you could buy shoes, maybe those electronics. Now you can even buy your groceries online, so there's more choice and prevalence of products that you can now buy online. Is there a relationship between that and the numbers that you're seeing as far as fraud is concerned?
So definitely the increase in usage is leading to an increased vulnerability of customers. I think this is something which, from our perspective as the Financial Sector Conduct Authority, we are particularly mindful of the increased importance of financial literacy on the one hand, financial capability and the capability of making sound financial decisions, but also digital literacy and being able to understand the risks that we as customers are faced with and the precautions that we are needing to take. We are also very mindful of the responsibility, the increased responsibility that this also places on our financial institutions and our banks to be making sure that their own systems are increasingly resilient and able to withstand cyber attacks. We're seeing an increased incidence of cyber attacks as well. And so it is even more important that corporate governance, that risk management is done in a way to mitigate these cybersecurity risks.
Yeah. And talking about those systems being a little bit more resilient, did we expect this degree of transformation. When I'm talking we, I'm talking the banking sector. Expect this degree of transformation, in a sense, to be able to bring in more security at the payment point in particular, because now you've got tap and go, you've got even...
So I think it's brought on by COVID.
Yeah.
So I interrupted you.
No, I'm saying, yeah, no, you've got all these options now at the payment space. So tap and go, you can even use your cell phone now to pay with all the applications that are on there.
Yes, so the functionality has been improving, and that's been an increasing trend. I think what was unexpected was the degree of the uptake, and that's happened very quickly on the back of COVID. So yes, it's been pushing in this direction, but I think it needed that extra drive to shift consumer and customer behavior. What's interesting as well is that it's the shift out of bank branches has not just been onto digital, it has also been to a wider ecosystem. For example, using partners with retail outlets and the likes. And I suppose the digital connectors is also the increased synergies that we're seeing with the likes of telcos and other fintech providers.
Yeah. But has the telecoms sector augmented their network capacity to be able to make up for this additional footprint in as far as security is concerned?
So it's a very interesting question as to where does the responsibility lie, and I think that's going to be an increased focus point of the regulators, because these partnerships, these collaborations really bring potentially a lot of benefits to customers who are now able to access more holistic customer solutions that meet their needs. But it does also bring these additional risks. So, for example, if something goes wrong along that value chain, who is held accountable? Who do you have the relationship with as a customer? Is it with your telco? Is it with the bank? And that's the partner. And from a regulator's perspective and from a legal perspective, this does also get us to scratch our heads. And definitely, we don't have all the answers yet.
Yeah. At this particular point, I mean, you've mentioned also the question of digital literacy. Where does that responsibility lie at this particular point?
So the Financial Sector Conduct Authority takes its mandate regarding financial education very seriously. I don't think that we could claim to be solely responsible for digital literacy by any shape of the imagination. But particularly in the space of the financial sector, we are increasingly positioning ourselves as thought leaders to coordinate amongst the different stakeholders between public and private sector to be able to develop interventions that can really help South Africans navigate this new world that they're entering into. And I think this is particularly important as well from a financial inclusion perspective, because although we see that there's been a dramatic increase in the access to financial services, particularly banking products, often brought along and supported by these technological shifts, we have also seen that many of our less sophisticated customers, particularly in lower income segments, particularly those who might not have access to the same technology, smartphones, data is very expensive, that they may be left behind. And within this context, financial education and the digital literacy and helping customers become better equipped to be making these kinds of decisions is particularly important.
Catherine Gibson, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on tonight. That is the Deputy Commissioner at the Financial Sector Conduct Authority.